watching this process of a rebuild, there's all these ups and downs and highs and lows. In 3.5 years, you've seen this process through. Where do you see it right now? Are you pleased with where you're at right now? And we're all watching this, and we see the improvement with some of these young players and the light at the end of the tunnel. Do you see the same?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful for our future. I'm excited for our future. I think we have so many good things happening within our organization and on our team. Am I happy with where we're at? No, I won't be happy until we win the whole thing. But that's my responsibility, is to not get complacent, not feed into too much of the positivity around players getting better. Like, I think those are things that we recognize as a staff, and I want our players to recognize that their work is not going unnoticed. But we've got a lot of work still to do, and I think both things can happen at the same time. Like, you can be hopeful and you can be excited and you can still not be satisfied.
In a world and in a business that's not patient, how do you maintain that patient approach, which is the right approach?
I think you have to really just decide who you're going to listen to. I don't think that fans should be patient. I think fans all want to win, and fans want their team to be great. And I think, for me, I love that about our fan base, because they do it, that they express that in a way that makes sense. Our fans are not naive to the process that we're going through. They're not naive to the fact that it takes time for young players to turn into a winning group. But I like that our fans are hungry, because they show up for us every night. Our building's packed every night. I feel it when I move around our city and our state, that people are excited about our future and they like our guys and they see where we're going. But I think in terms of maintaining the patience, you have to block out certain voices. I care about what the people in our building think. I care about what the players in our locker room think. And outside of that, I try to keep my head up and my shoulders back and try to represent this organization and our fan base to the best of my ability every single day. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what's my approach going through this? And I tell myself all the time, I have written on a piece of paper on my desk, stand in the front and don't flinch. I think that's my responsibility.
Did you see the emergence of Keyonte George as a star coming? What did he do, and what have you observed him doing to take this kind of a leap?
Keyonte was able to be honest with himself, and a lot has been made of our relationship and conversations that he and I have had, but he deserves all the credit for where he is right now, because he was able to really look himself in the mirror and do some self-evaluation of what he needed to improve from an approach standpoint, what he needed to improve on the court, what he needed to improve, in his body. And he just put his head down and did the work. Like, there's no substitute for doing the work. Our world now, we all want quick fix. We all want results right this second. And I think Keyonte's shift in his approach has given him the results, but those things are just a byproduct of his approach. And he's still working at it. Like, he still has a down day here and there, but they're fewer and further between than they used to be. And that's the sign of improvement. Did I see Keyonte being a star? I think I've told Keyonte from the very first day, his talent is so obvious. He has a real presence about him on the court. You can see it with the way that his teammates respond to him, the way our fans respond to him. But, I don't want to put a ceiling on how good he's going to be. I'm not that smart. Like, I can't just look at a player and say, oh, they're going to be X, Y, or Z. I think you try to envision pathways for them. And if you can get them on the right path, then you don't really know how far they're actually going to be able to go. But, a big part of our responsibility is trying to find those pathways.
How has his emergence changed the trajectory of where you guys are going with this franchise, the speed at which you're going?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good indicator for us in terms of taking a step forward. In order for us to be successful, you have to have some internal development. You have to have some of your homegrown people turn into really good players. And Keyonte has shown obviously massive signs of that this year. Some of his teammates, some of our other young players are showing a ton of growth too. And, to really win at the highest level, you've got to be 12 deep. And so you're not going to have 12 star players, but you have to have a bunch of people that can participate in winning and play in playoff games. Whether it's tactical differences, matchups, or just injuries on your own team, like, you don't know when you're going to need everybody. And so Keyonte gets a lot of public praise, and rightfully so, but he has some of his teammates too who are getting a lot better as well.
Ace Bailey's one of those teammates, and we're seeing the flashes. We get it. We understand it. What have you learned about him in getting to know him, both on and off the court, that gives you belief and promise that he's going to reach his potential?
Ace is a really fast learner. He wants to learn. He wants to be coached. He's honest almost to a fault. Like, he takes a lot of accountability when he's playing. Sometimes he's taking accountability for things that weren't his fault. But those are massive indicators for me of somebody who's going to be successful. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't point fingers. There are certain circumstantial things, whether it could be in a game or over the course of 10 games, that aren't his fault, that have put him in some tough spots. And he never complains. I think on the court, the part I'm most excited about with Ace is that he's showing the ability to impact the game on both sides of the ball. To win at the highest level, your best players have to play on both sides of the ball.
How great has Lowry been in every way for you guys right now?
It would be hard for me to express how grateful I am for Lowry. The human being that he is, the player he is, the way he carries himself, the way he prepares, the way he competes. For a first-time head coach coming here, to be able to partner with somebody like Lowry, for our relationship to grow, for us to grow together, on the court, off the court. He's everything that we want to stand for as an organization. Like, he is what the Utah Jazz are about. He's a top-level human being. He's an amazing player. He carries himself with a ton of humility. He's a part of our community. It's hard to put into words how grateful I am and we are for Lowry.
Bryce Sensabaugh went on a tear off the bench that the NBA's never seen. What did you learn about him with those performances and what he's been doing?
Yeah, Bryce has an innate ability to score. I wish I could say that we were teaching him all those things. We've tried to help refine a few areas and a few different reads that he's making on the court, but Bryce can really get it going. And so I think we have to continue to recognize the moments when we need to just kind of let him go, while also managing the nights when we need to involve him, but within the construct of the team. when somebody gets hot like Bryce did, there's this temptation to just double down. And the next game is like, oh, we're going to let it ride again. And I don't think that's productive. Like, each game is its own thing. And it's great that Bryce has been in a good rhythm, but every game needs to start with the approach of playing within the construct of the team. And then if you really get it going again, well, then we can sort of take the guardrails off and let you go.
There's always been this belief that a rook or young players need a great vet to show them the ropes. But if you have a bad vet, it's not necessarily the case, right? But it looks like you found the right vets here. What is it about some of these older guys that are really having a positive impact on these younger players?
I think the best thing that Kevin and Nurk and Kyle, George coming in, like those four in particular, I'm taking Lowry out of that because Lowry's been here with these guys, but those four coming in, I just think they're able to provide so much perspective to our young players and about what it's like other places, about the opportunity that they have, about different things that they've experienced in the early parts of their career, things they are happy they did, things they regret doing. It's perspective that I can't give them. You need learning to come in a variety of ways, and I think that being an NBA player is really hard. And all four of those guys have what our young players want, which is longevity in the NBA. So I think those guys have provided a ton of perspective. I also think they've modeled a lot of really good behavior in terms of how they take care of themselves.
You can see that. Cody Williams, it feels to me like he's in this tough spot because of who his brother's become and what he is and what the expectations were of a first-round pick. Everybody thinks he's going to be his brother or whatever those expectations are placed upon him. How have you been able to help him manage that so he takes that slow approach and doesn't get bogged down in what people think he should be instead of who he is?
Yeah, I try not to talk about it with him. His brother's a great player, and I respect him a lot, but I don't talk about him with Cody ever because Cody is running his own race, and Cody's got a lot to offer, and he's a part of our group, and we respect his brother from afar, but Cody's ours, and Cody's who I care about. Austin and I say to each other all the time, comparison's the thief of joy, and I really believe that. I don't want Cody to start thinking about where he is relative to his brother. It's unproductive because his circumstance is also different. So I think Cody has done a really, really good job in terms of the way that he's competing with himself every day. I can't imagine, some of those pressures that just come with the fact that your brother's a really good player. I'm sure people on Twitter want to remind him of that, but to me, all those comparisons are unproductive because Cody still has an opportunity to have a great career ahead of him.
Your veterans have been wise to let these young players know how good they have it here. And one of the great things they have here is patience. These guys have had time to develop. There's not this, there's pressure in other places, but not quite here. How connected are you with the front office in being able to manage that part of it? Everybody here understands that there's a long game here. How is that benefiting those younger players?
Yeah, I'm really lucky to work with and for who I do. Pro sports in general, the NBA, it's a hard landscape. And perspective and having a group that's aligned is something that we all talk about, but you don't see it as much as you would think. Myself, Austin, Justin, Ryan, Danny, we're as connected as I could ever imagine. We don't really have to have a ton of scheduled meetings because we all talk all day, every day. It's this running conversation where nothing gets lost in translation. I think how present Ryan is with our organization every day allows there to not be things lost in translation or a lack of context. the relationships, the ability to communicate very openly and honestly between myself, Austin, Justin, Danny. It's what allows us to navigate hard moments. It's what allows us to really plan for the future. And I think it does benefit our young players because they don't feel like there's a divide in the organization. Our players know how connected we are. Our players know that the plans that we are putting together for them in terms of their development, the future of our team, they're being made together. With myself, Austin, Justin, Danny, like it's not oh, they're handling that part of the plan and I'm handling this part of the plan. It's not like that at all. So I think if you follow our team, if you follow our organization, I think you can feel it. I think the way that we all interact with each other, I think the way that we all communicate with each other is pretty evident.